Okay, today we're going to be writing lines given 2 points, lecture number 27. Now, when we're given 2 points, we can take those 2 points and we can draw a line through them. So what that means is they're going to give you 2 points, like let's say 5, 1 and 0, -1. They'll give you 2 ordered pairs like this. And then the question is often asked, hey, if we give you 2 points, can you draw a line through them? And if so, what's going to be the equation of that line in slope-intercept form? So let's revisit slope-intercept form really quick. Slope-intercept form. Now, implicit in slope-intercept form is 2 numbers, m and b. So we always write out slope-intercept form as y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. Now the x and the y are going to be variables. So the y is going to be a variable. I'll label that. And the x is also going to be a variable. So x and y, they're just going to remain variables, but the m is actually going to be a number. The m is going to stand for the slope. M is going to stand for slope. And we can find slope using this formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's going to be m. M is going to stand for the slope. And b is going to stand for the y-intercept. So b is going to stand for the y-intercept. And the y-intercept is just going to be a point 0, b. The x-coordinate is always going to be 0, but the y-coordinate is going to be whatever number that b is. So we're going to use these 2 points, and we're going to find the slope first. So to find the slope, I'm going to label my 2 points. I'm going to label them as x1, y1, and x2, y2. And I'm just labeling the x1 and the y1 as the first point, and the x2 and the y2 as the second point. So what I want to do with this is I want to feed all 4 of those numbers into the slope formula. So what do I get when I put those in? Well, on the top, I'm going to have y2 minus y1, which would be -1 minus 1. On the bottom, I'm going to have x2 minus x1, which is 0 minus 5. So once I put those numbers in, I can simplify the top. -1 minus 1 is -2. And on the bottom, 0 minus 5 is -5. Now, as a fraction, I have -2 over -5. The negatives are going to cancel out, which is going to leave me 2 over 5. So this is going to be a positive number. So my slope is going to be positive. Okay, so now we found the slope. The next thing that we want to do is find the y-intercept. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to start plugging in numbers for y equals mx plus b. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the slope and we're going to take 1 point and we're going to substitute into this formula right here, the y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to write it out down here. Y equals mx plus b. So the first thing I want to do is I want to write 2/5 for m because that's the slope. This is going to be 2 over 5. M is going to be 2 over 5. And the x and y I can get from any point that they give me in the problem. So looking at the first point that they give me, I have 5, 1. I'm looking up here at 5, 1. 5, 1. Now I'm going to use this point to substitute into my formula. My x is going to be 5, and my y is going to be 1. So my y is going to be 1. I put that in for y, and I bring down my equal sign. My x is going to be 5. I got that from the point. And then I'm going to bring down my plus b. So now I've got something that I can simplify. And I can figure out what b is at the very end. So what's 2/5 times 5? Well, when the 5s cancel out like this, you're going to be left with a 2 at the top. So I can write my equation as 1 equals 2 plus b. So now at this point, I can get b by itself by getting rid of the 2. I can subtract 2 on both sides. And that's going to leave me with whatever b is. 1 minus 2, that's going to be -1. And I'll put a box around that. So that's going to be b. Okay, so now I have enough information to write out my slope-intercept form. We know that y equals mx plus b. I'm going to let y be a variable. I'm going to let m be my slope, which is 2/5. And I'm also going to let x be a variable. But then what is my y-intercept? My b, that's going to be -1. So now I have y equals 2/5 x minus 1. And that's going to be my answer. Okay, so that's how you find the slope-intercept form if they give you 2 ordered pairs. And now what I want to do is I want to do another example, and we'll repeat the same exact steps that I did in this one. So let me grab another sheet of paper and we'll try another. Okay. Now the next example I want to do, they give me 2 points, just like the last problem. They're going to give me -5, 1 and -4, 5. So they give me these 2 points. And from those 2 points, we can figure out what the slope is. We just use the slope formula. Once we find the slope, we can plug other numbers in to find out what b is. B is going to be the y-intercept. And then we write out our equation in slope-intercept form, just like last time. So let me zoom in and we'll figure out what the slope of this is. So I'm going to be using the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's going to be my slope formula. Now up here, I have 2 ordered pairs. So I can label them as x1, y1, x1, y1, and x2, y2, because this is my second point. So now I have everything labeled, and I can start putting these numbers into my slope formula. So y2 minus y1 is going to give me 5 minus 1. x2 minus x1 is going to give me -4 minus -5. And I'll keep that negative inside the parentheses. So what I notice is on the bottom, I have a double negative. And if you know what a double negative is, you know that that's the same thing as a positive. So this is actually -4 plus 5. That's going to give me 1. positive 1 in the denominator. In the numerator, I have 5 minus 1. That's going to give me 4. And last but not least, we divide the two numbers. So 4 divided by 1 is going to give me 4. So this line is going to have a positive slope because the 4 is positive. So now I know what my slope is. Now I just need to figure out what my y-intercept is. I still don't know what it is, but I can figure out what it is by substituting the slope in one of these points, right? So let's start off with slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. I know that my slope is m, and m is equal to 4, so I can substitute 4 in for m. So this is going to be a 4. My x and my y, I can get that from either this point up here or this point right here. So let me use the first point. The first point tells me that x is negative 5. So I'm going to let this x be negative 5. And I bring down my plus b. Also, from this first point, it tells me that my y value is going to be 1. So I'm going to put in a 1 for my y. Okay, so now 4 times negative 5, that's going to give me negative 20. And I bring down the plus b and the equals 1. So I multiply those two numbers together. Now to get b by itself, I need to get rid of this negative 20. How can I get rid of a negative number? Well, I have to do the opposite of a negative, right? I need to do a positive. So I'm going to be adding 20 to both sides. The negative 20 and the positive 20 are going to cancel each other out. My b is going to drop down along with my equal sign. And over here on the left side, I get 1 plus 20 is 21. That's going to be my b value. So now I know what b is, and I also know what m is. So when I write out my slope-intercept form, we're still going to have y equals mx plus b. My y and my x are going to be variables, but I know for a fact that m is going to be equal to 4, right? We got that from right here. So I let m be 4, I let b be 21, and I'm done. So the equation of my line has to be 4x plus 21. Y equals 4x plus 21. And we're going to do one more example like that. Okay. The last one we're going to do, we do it the same way we did all the others. Let's look at this one. So here they give us 2 points. They give us -3, -4, and 0, -4. So they give us these two ordered pairs, and what they want us to find is the slope-intercept form of the line that crosses through both of the points. So these are just going to be 2 points on the xy plane. We can draw a line through those 2 points, and we need to figure out what the slope of the line is first. So we're going to use the slope formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So now labeling my 2 points, I know that the first point is going to be x1 comma y1. And then my second point is going to be x2 comma y2. So x2 and y2. So now I know what my 4 numbers are going to be. I'm going to subtract the y's on the top. So I get -4 minus -4. Keep that in parentheses. And I subtract the x's on the bottom. So on the bottom, I'm going to get 0 minus -3. So the reason why I'm using these parentheses is because I have a double negative happening on the top and the bottom. And a double negative just means you add a positive, right? So the top is actually going to give me -4 plus 4, which is 0. The bottom is going to give me 0 plus 3, which is 3. And then last but not least, I need to divide the two numbers. 0 divided by 3 is going to give me 0. So that's going to be the slope. Now, if you remember from the slope formula, 0 means that the line is going to be completely flat. So the line is going to be completely horizontal when the slope is 0. So now that I know what my slope is, I can use the slope and one other point to find out what b is, because I still don't know what my y-intercept is yet. So I'll leave that as a question mark for now. My slope-intercept form is going to be y equals mx plus b. I'm going to use the first point that they give me as the x and the y. So up here for this point, my y value is going to be -4. So I'm going to let y be -4. I know that my m is going to be my slope, and my slope is 0. So m is just going to be 0. X is going to be my x value. So looking up at this ordered pair, I know that the x value that they give me is -3. So I'll let x be -3. And then b, I'm not sure what that is yet, but we're about to find out. So 0 times -3 is going to give me 0. So I'm going to have 0 plus b equals -4. So I bring down my -4, my equal sign, and my plus b. And now I can subtract 0 or add 0 to both sides. That'll get rid of the 0. And I get b equals -4 minus 0. That's still going to give me -4. That's going to be my b value. So now I know what my slope is. I know what my y-intercept is. So I can write out my line as y equals mx plus b. My y is going to be a variable. My x is going to be a variable. And m and b are going to be numbers. I know that m is 0, and I know that b is -4. So 0x minus 4. Okay. Now the last thing I'm going to do is, because I have 0x, I'm going to multiply 0 by x to get 0. So I still have 0 minus 4. But we know that 0 minus 4 is the same thing as -4. So this is going to be the final answer that I'm going to choose, y equals -4. So if you were to graph y equals -4, you should get a horizontal line, because we already noted up here that the slope is going to be 0. So let's graph this and see what we get. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Desmos, and I'm going to graph the line that we just got. So what we just got was y equals -4. I type in y equals -4, and I get this line right here. And I'm going to change the color of the line to red so you can see it a little bit better. So this is the line that they give us. I know that the line is flat. It's completely horizontal because the slope is 0. And I know that b is -4. That means that the line has to cross the y-axis at -4. So the y-intercept is right here. Also, they gave us 2 points at the very beginning, and I want to graph those. So the two ordered pairs that they gave me in the beginning of the problem was -3, -4. So I'm going to type those in, -3, comma, -4. And I get this red dot right here, which really should be another color. I'm going to make that into a blue point. So the line is going to go through that point as well as the other point that they give me. So what was the other point they gave us? 0, comma, -4. So 0, comma, -4. That's going to be this other blue point right here. And I'm going to make that green. So given these 2 points, you can always draw a line through 2 points, right? Because 2 points is always going to make up a line. But we can figure out what the slope of the line is, and we can figure out what the equation of the line is right after that by solving for b. So that is how you can check your answers